That was abrupt.
Yeah.
That was
Starts
cool
off
though.
nice and slow. They're very fun. That whole EP they dropped, which is whatever that's on, was like I think their debut one, probably the only one they have out. Dope. It's one of those things where it's not like a concept, but they clearly wrote every song to like have a specific vibe, and it flows so nice, even though they're pretty separate sounding songs. It's very cool stuff.
That's always like one of my favorite things about like a really good, well produced, well thought out record is the order that the tracks go in.
Yeah.
Because if you have too many bangers on the front end and then you put all the slow stuff on the end, or you're like, you know, whatever, then it can really like, it's not worth listening to the entire project. And
yeah.
And I feel like there are a lot of albums that are either like backloaded or front loaded with like all the best songs. And I really like stuff that you can listen to through the entire way and you don't notice a point where there's like a drop in quality.
Yeah. Feel that. Yeah, I aimed for that. With like Process of Falling Apart. Normal song, single, normal song, single, normal song, single. Just like keep it flowing enough.
Well, and the thing that I think too with a lot of like album pacing stuff like that is something that's not single worthy isn't inherently bad. It's just not something that is going to immediately catch your ear. It's something that you will gain appreciation for upon multiple listens a lot of the time.
Exactly.
And so I feel like if you have the singles spread out enough that when you listen to the album, you end up listening to it all the way through, then you get that repeated listen and you gain more of a fondness for the other songs around it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love bands that can pull that off. I know I've mentioned Slipknot like 30 times so far, but they have that.
Just from
the
that
singles
era,
are
you know, it happens.
Oh yeah, the songs that you don't really think people are going to care about end up being a lot of people's favorites most of the time anyway. Yeah, so I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. But
something that I find really interesting that I've started doing recently is there are a lot of albums that I really like, but you know, it's like I'll put it on and you know be listening for like 30 minutes or something like that. It's an hour-long album, and I'm like listening on like a commute or you know whatever. And so I feel like I've just listened to the front half of the album a ton of times, but I haven't listened to the back half. And so there are some albums that I really love that I'm like, I'm going to start on track 6 and listen all the way through just so that I hear the back half of the album because I don't hear it as much.
That's how I am with like Turnstile.
Yeah.
They always like, they're one of those bands I can just listen to on a loop forever. And yeah, I feel that. I'm always like driving short distances, so I'll get like, you know, the first few songs and then I'm like missing the end ones. So I get to like pop those on when I get back in the car or something.
So have you seen these guys, Moss Tongue? Have you seen them live?
Yeah, so I ran sound for them once, and I still feel so bad about it. Because I'm like a sound guy at a booking company thing, and they were the first band to play for the night, and it was the first time I had ever used like floor monitors for the bands, and I had them like mixed up. So
I'm like, I already kind of
up.
know where this is gonna go.
He was like, "Can you turn me up?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I'm like putting them in the wrong monitors, like I can't fucking hear anything. You can turn me up, and I'm like cranking it. I was like, "If I go anymore, you will go deaf." And then, like, I noticed in, like, the last song, they're like, "Can you turn his vocals down in my monitor?" And I was like, I didn't even touch your monitor, man. So it was all flipped over. It felt so bad.
Well, I mean,
they're
live
so
and learn,
good.
Right? Yeah,
they're cool live, though.
I noticed, like, when I was reading their description, that it says that they are kind of like shoegaze adjacent as well. Do they have a lot of that just, like, kind of extended instrumental kind of stuff? Do they do a lot of that or not as much?
I think they're using that term in the sense of like tonally, because they're not a high band by any means.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they have like the twinkly stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's enough in this era to call it shoegaze.
They got the twinkles.
Oh yeah. For pretty nice glassy guitar tones. We love those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my next song, we're gonna be entering the territory of a bit poppy type stuff here now. Olivia Dean, who I had no idea who she was. She just popped up on my like Discover Weekly. It was like it was like a year ago now. But I guess for her for this EP from 2019, I think she was called Amazon Music's Breakthrough Artist of 2021. This song is called "Okay, Love You Bye" by Olivia Dean.